A chilling silence has crept into the very heart of the British monarchy. Beyond the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace, beneath the surface of official statements and carefully composed appearances, something far more unsettling is unfolding. A monarch's quiet struggle against a cruel illness and a family bracing for a future that may arrive sooner than any of them are truly ready for. King Charles III, the man who waited a lifetime to ascend the throne, now finds himself confronted by an opponent that no amount of diplomacy or protocol can outmaneuver: cancer. The news, first confirmed months ago but cloaked in euphemistic phrases and royal discretion, has taken on new urgency. An official palace update released late last week confirmed what insiders had feared for some time. The king's condition has worsened, and his treatment has brought complications that required a brief but significant hospital stay. While the palace was careful to assure the public that the king's medical team remained confident in his recovery, the carefully chosen language spoke volumes between the lines. The word temporary was used, but not minor. The term precautionary appeared, but the decision to make the announcement at all unusual by royal standards hinted at the growing concern behind palace walls. Even the king's brief public appearance, waving weakly from the backseat of a chauffeured car outside Clarence House, felt more like a carefully staged reassurance than a sign of robust health. Royal watchers noted the pallor in his face, the visible thinning, and the stiffness of his movements, subtle signs, perhaps, but unmistakable to those who know how to read the language of royalty. And so, beneath the surface of ceremonial continuity, the royal family is undergoing an internal reckoning, a slow, quiet shift in power, wrapped in the soft velvet of tradition and the iron grip of legacy. For Prince William, the heir apparent, this moment has become a crucible. While the official line remains that the king is expected to resume a fuller royal schedule in the coming months, those closest to the Prince of Wales know the truth. A transition, if not imminent, is very much on the horizon. Sources close to William describe a man in deep reflection, caught between the emotional weight of watching his father suffer and the ever-present shadow of his own destiny. The prince has taken several private meetings with senior aides at Kensington Palace in recent weeks. While some meetings were described as routine, others have reportedly touched upon sensitive topics, including emergency succession planning, international representation, and contingency duties should the king's condition take a turn for the worse. One insider confided, "Prince William has been preparing for this his entire life, but that doesn't make it easier. This isn't about duty anymore. It's about family. About losing a father, possibly sooner than expected." At the same time, Princess Catherine, still recovering from her own recent health challenges, has adopted a quieter but equally powerful role. She has been a calming presence for William and their children, shielding them from the growing media speculation and the emotional undercurrents running through the royal households. But even she has not been immune to the pressures of this turbulent season. Catherine is William's anchor, a former royal advisor shared. But she's also deeply affected. Watching Charles go through this, it brings back painful memories of Diana. It reawakens a kind of emotional fragility that the public rarely sees. The couple's decision to skip traditional royal Easter engagements was initially viewed as a surprising break from protocol. But as more information has surfaced, their absence now seems a deliberate act of preservation, a pause, not out of indifference, but out of deep familial love and a need to shield their young children from a world that is, at times, too harsh and too heavy. Within the royal family, the king's health has ignited a quiet storm of speculation and subtle repositioning. Princess Anne, ever the stoic soldier of the crown, has stepped into an increasingly visible role. Her loyalty is unquestionable, but even she has reportedly expressed concern about the current lack of long-term planning for a sustained regency or succession. Meanwhile, Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh, has been seen at more public engagements, his calm, gentlemanly demeanor helping to soothe public nerves. But behind the scenes, it's said that even Edward is aware that the real power lies now with the next generation. Estranged from the family, watching from Montecito, Harry is said to be in regular contact with aides in London, despite the fractured relationships with his father and brother. According to those close to him, Harry is deeply concerned about his father's condition, though no plans for a return to the UK have been publicly announced. Some insiders claim that private calls have taken place between Harry and Charles, brief, cordial, and strained, but existing wounds between Harry and William remain very much unhealed. The king's illness has created an opportunity, maybe the last opportunity, for reconciliation, one royal historian noted. But whether it's taken or squandered, that's still uncertain. Perhaps the most emotionally charged aspect of this royal health crisis lies in the preparations that no one wants to talk about publicly, namely, the king's private discussions regarding the future of his personal belongings, royal heirlooms, and even elements of his will. It is a subject that no family wants to face, let alone a royal one. But sources confirm that Charles, ever the meticulous planner, has already begun to lay out wishes for certain personal items, some of which carry enormous sentimental weight. There are whispers that certain heirlooms, including letters from Queen Elizabeth II, personal diaries, and rare artworks from the king's private collection, have already been designated for specific recipients. Prince William is believed to be receiving many of the more historically significant pieces, while Princess Anne has reportedly been promised certain personal effects linked to her shared childhood with Charles. These private allocations have stirred quiet tension among extended family members. Not because of greed, but because of grief. Every item chosen, every letter handed down, is a tacit admission that time is running short. King Charles has now officially departed for Highgrove House, his beloved country estate in Gloucestershire. Nestled amid rolling hills and lush gardens, Highgrove has long been the king's sanctuary, where he can escape the rigid rituals of court life and indulge in quiet reflection. There, in the solitude of nature, surrounded by his bees, organic gardens, and beloved books, the king is said to be undergoing the next phase of his treatment, supported by a tight circle of aides, doctors, and Queen Camilla. Camilla, often a divisive figure in the public eye, has emerged in recent weeks as a figure of quiet strength. By Charles's side throughout the ordeal, she has become his primary caregiver and confidant, reportedly even taking control of certain day-to-day royal matters to alleviate the king's burden. Despite growing speculation about the seriousness of his illness, Charles remains defiant in his refusal to consider abdication. He is determined to reign for as long as possible, drawing strength from his late mother's example of unwavering dedication until the very end. The monarchy, ancient, ceremonial, steeped in tradition, is once again being tested by modern realities. A king who may not have the time to fully realize his vision. An heir who must prepare for the unimaginable. And a family torn between duty, personal pain, and the looming legacy of 1,000 years. King Charles's battle is not just a personal one, it is symbolic of a broader question. What kind of monarchy will the United Kingdom inherit next? One defined by quiet strength? Or one fractured by change and haunted by loss? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this chapter in royal history will be remembered not only for its sorrow, but for its humanity. And perhaps, in the end, that is what the crown must become, not a symbol of unshakable power, but a reflection of the people it represents, flawed, fragile, and fiercely enduring.